Tons of people have really good advice for how to set up a work from home video cam setup, and is more important than you think. Thousands of people across the internet have guides and recommendations for how to master your video setup, but I want to show you what I do, because I've got a fantastic setup, and there's 3 pieces of advice that I want to give you. I'm going to break this down into 3 sections, and in each section I'm going to show you exactly what I use, because I've been told I have a very good setup. People are often amazed the first time they go into a video call with me. And you're literally on video calls all day when you do work from home knowledge work. And so this has ended up being really important. And I'm literally on video calls 8 hours a day, every single day. And so this sort of setup ends up being really important because it affects how people perceive you. The first aspect I want to cover is lighting. I bought complete blackout curtains here to eliminate the variation that you see during the day. And we've got 2 key lights. You notice that they're slightly pointed at different angles. These are Elgato key lights, but you can really use any key lights. There's some good ones from Logitech. Elgato has fantastic ones, but nice diffuse light is what's important here. So one of the coolest tricks I learned was to use this dual key light setup so that neither side of your face is too shadowy, because people really need to see your face. They need to see the emotion that you have. That's the reason that you have this nice lighting. That's the reason you're on video calls. And the trick here is don't set both of the key lights to the same brightness. Set one to a little bit brighter than the other one. I think I'm at like 16% and 13%. And that slight variation gives your face a natural gradient that's going to make you more interesting to look at. The second component of my fantastic lighting is just this dumb LED strip that I put on the floor. It looks really weird when you look at it, and in this room it just kind of feels awkward, but it looks fantastic on camera. When I'm on video calls, I frame it so that the LED strip is basically along the bottom border of the frame, and it just gives the rest of the shot this really, really interesting glow. The last component to my lighting setup are these nanoleaf hexagons, and you can really choose whatever color you want, but the key here is make sure that you're balancing the brightness of your hexagons with the brightness of your face. If your hexagons are too bright in the actual shot, your face will appear dim. So these are actually as low as they can go, basically. I usually rock this slowly changing starlight pattern, but whenever I'm filming a video, I'll usually turn it all blue so that if I need to make cuts, it doesn't seem awkward. All right, you've got your lighting, but now something is missing. The lights are coming through. You can just see that they're just stupid nanoleaf hexagons. And the answer to that is going to be bokeh. So for this, you're going to need a real camera. I know that there's fantastic virtual backgrounds in Zoom and Google Meet and all those sorts of things. No, you need a real camera with either a pure HDMI out with a capture card or with some sort of webcam software, because you need at least a 720p stream, which is about standard for all these video applications. And then on top of that camera, you actually need a very nice lens. I'm using a 35mm 1.8 f-stop. And what that allows me to do is it allows me to put my face in focus and slightly gently blur everything behind me. So in the other shot, when you saw the nanoleaf hexagons, you could actually tell that there was a string hanging out the back. And what happens when you actually put on a very nice bokeh and you've got this perfect combination of lighting is all of that just disappears. People just get this feeling, this hint of the color. And because you've got a real camera, all of the light that flies through your hair and between your ears and things like that, all of that is going to look perfect. It's going to look sharp. It's going to look crisp. And really, to make this work, one of the things that you have to think about is as much space as possible between you and your background. So I'm about 3 feet from my camera and I'm about 7-8 feet from my background. But the more space you can put between yourself and the background, the cheaper the lens you can actually buy to make that happen. So for my webcam, I use the EOS R with a Flint 4KP capture card, just with a simple HDMI out, and then you also need a DC adapter so that the camera can just always be powered. And if you'll note, the positioning is very important too. I put it as close as possible to my eye level, right above the monitor. If I get it any lower, the monitor is going to end up being in the shot. And last but not least, we have the microphone. This one's actually really easy and really cheap to solve. Just go buy yourself a Blue Yeti. It's good enough, it's super cheap, and it works with everything. I have this fancy $300 monitor arm, which is 3 times the price of the actual microphone, which you don't actually need. Really, any Blue Yeti microphone is going to come with a nice little stand, and put it right next to your mouth as close as possible, right behind your keyboard. And remember, don't put the microphone in the shot. I know that's a really cool thing podcasters do, and people feel like, oh, I'm big fancy showing off my microphone, but it does not need to be in the shot. If you place it right by your mouth, it should be far enough away from your head that you can actually get a clean shot. My microphone is about 6 inches from my face right now, but you can't see it. It doesn't get in the way, and I can still get really clear, beautiful audio without showing off, oh, I've got a fancy microphone. I'm a really big fan of this idea of not putting my setup really on display more than it has to be. And so I always wear earbuds so that I don't have speakers playing where the microphone's gonna pick it up. It's a very simple, easy solution to that problem, and I never have echo. So to summarize, go get yourself a couple key lights, go get yourself a stupid, simple RGB strip, drop it on the floor, and go get yourself some cool looking lights that add a little bit of spice to the shot without overwhelming it. Then upgrade your camera. Make sure you get a really nice camera like the Canon EOS RP, get a capture card, get a nice lens with some good bokeh, and then get a cheap but great microphone that's gonna level up your setup way beyond whatever your computer's capable of. And with that, every meeting you go into, every interview you do, you are gonna be more successful and perceived better by others. The way you carry yourself in video calls is the way that people are going to perceive you. Your work from home video setup matters a lot. It's the same thing that people judge you on, just like they do in person, based on how you carry yourself.